Hello everyone, welcome to my channel TAB6QA. My name is Sushil. In this video we are going to discuss data types in the Python. So Python has different data types, so let's go one by one. Let's talk about the new numeric type here, numeric type. So what I did, I have created one Python file that is datatypes.py. In the numeric type, the first type we are going to see is integer. How to store an integer value in the Python. So just define a variable here, a is equals to 5 and done. So let me print this a, and if you want to see what is the type of this a, then what you can do, type, you can use the type function and this just run the program. So the 5 is printed and the type of variable a is integer. Okay, now let's pass minus 5 and now I can print. So minus 5 also type of a integer. Whatever the whole number is integer in Python. If I store 55, if I store a mobile number like this, this is also type of an integer. And if you suppose you have a long number, so very long number, and let's see the type of this long number, this is also integer. So even if it is short number or long number, in the Python it represents as integer. In Python 2, this type of integer is represented as a long type, but in Python 3, this is also represented as a integer value. Okay, now let's talk about the float. So in the same variable, I'm going to store some value which has a decimal point. So the value which has a decimal point in it, that is called as float value. Let's say 1.5. This is a float value. Yeah. So 1.5 is printed and the type of this a is a float. Minus 1.5. This is also float. So let's say I have a long number like this. This is also float, and the type of this long number is also float with the decimal point. It has a decimal. If even you can store the minus, you can also store a minus float value in the Python. You can also store 0.0. This is also float. Okay, so now let's talk about complex number. So complex number is a kind of number which has two different parts. One is real part and another is imaginary part. And when you define the complex number in the Python, you have to append that number with a j, small j or capital J alphabet. So let me show you how to define a complex number here. So 3 plus 5 small j. So this is a complex number and it should print the same complex number on the console, and also it should show the type of the a is a complex. So let's run the program. Yes, the type of this number is a complex. You can also store a minus complex number. Yes, this is also minus complex number. This minus complex number also a type of complex. Now let me store such a long complex number. This is also nothing but a complex number in the Python. Also what you can do, you can add two different complex number like 1 plus or you can say 1.26 j, and yes, the output is printed, and this is also type of a complex number. So this is how you can define a complex number in a Python. How to store the Boolean values in Python, how to represent the Boolean values in the Python. The Boolean type hold only two different values, that is true and false. So you can define true, but not small true. The t should be capital, otherwise it will throw the error. This is the true. So let me run the program. Yeah, so the type of this a is a Boolean. So I can store false. Yes, this is also Boolean. You can also have a kind of a expression here, Boolean type of expression. A the 1 is greater than 10, which is definitely not, so it should print false. Yes, and the type is Boolean. Is equals to 1. Yes, 1 is equals to 1, it should print true. Yes, so this is how you can store a Boolean number in the Python. So now we just saw the integer, float, complex number and Boolean type. So now we are going to see the sequence type in the Python. So what all the data types comes under sequence type? The first and very simple is a string. How to define a string in the Python? Just define a variable and type String is nothing but a sequence of character. So my name is Sushil, and I'm going to print this A and the type of A string, which is represented as str. I want to define a long string, something like this. We run this program. This is also nothing but a string type. So then how to store a character in the Python? So character is, there is no char type in the Python. If you want to define a character, you can type that in this single quote and just run this program. The S is also type of string. So even if it is a character or sequence of character is represented as a string in the Python. I think you can represent the character also in the double quote. Yes. So this is also string type. Now let's talk about the list. List is also data type in the Python which comes under sequence type. So what is a list? List is group of elements, and that list can store different type of element. The list in the Python is always represented inside the open bracket and close bracket. Like with this notation, we can define a list in the Python. So if let's me define a empty list, and let me print this, print a type of A. See, the type of A is a list. This is how you can define a list in the Python. Now let me add some values inside this list. 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Let's print this. This is also type of list, and the items are printed here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So as I mentioned, we can define a different types of data in the list, like integer. Then let me add a character. Let me add a string, my list, and then let me add a complex number 3.16j and some -1 and then -5. Okay, so we have different types of data here which is stored inside a list. Let me print this. Yes, you can see the data is printed here, and the type of this data is nothing but a list. If you want to access the list from the front, then you can always do that using a of 0. If I type like this, I should get 1. So this is how you can read it this is how you can read the list from the front. And if you want to read the list from the back side, then you can use -1, -5. Yeah, so -5. If I pass -2, then you get -1, which is this one. And let's say if I suppose, let's say -10, which is an invalid index, which will throw the exception, and the exception is index error. You will get an index error which is list index out of range. This -10 index is not a valid. So this is how you can store a list in the Python. So this is how you can store items in the list, and you can define a list data type in the Python. So now let's talk about the tuple. Tuple is also a data type in the Python. How to define a tuple? Tuple will be defined using the open parenthesis and close parenthesis. So I have defined the empty tuple here. Tuple is also a group of elements and which can store different type of elements. And the tuple is little different from the list because you can't modify the value in the tuple. The tuple is always read only. So I just defined the empty tuple here. If I want to know the type of this A, yeah, you can see the type of A is tuple. So I'm going to add some values here: A, some character C, some string Sushil, and then some minus value -1. Okay, let's run this. Yes, this is also a tuple. Now I mentioned you cannot modify the value inside the tuple. So let me try to modify the value from the 0th index. The one is stored in the 0th index, 0, 1, 2 and 3. So there are 4 items, and if you want to, and the indexes are 0, 1, 2 and 3. Okay, so I want to just modify the values from the 0th index. Yeah, you will get a exception, the type error. Tuple object does not support its item assignment, or it means modification is also not possible. If you want to access the elements from the tuple, then you can access them using the same concept like print. I want to access the value from the 3rd index. The value on 3rd index is -1. Okay, so this is how we can define a tuple in the Python. So now let's see how to define a set in the Python. So set is also a group of elements where we can store a different type of data. But in the set, there are no duplicate values are allowed. Inside the set, the order is not maintained. So this is an unordered set. Inside the set, we can store a group of elements and different type of elements. No duplicate element will be allowed inside the set. So you cannot access using the index. You make it a wrong value. So the set is always represented with open brace and close brace. So I just define an empty set here, and now it is showing you dict. Okay, so because I need to store some value, I think. Yeah. So let me add some one. By default, it just because the dictionary also dictionary, or you can say map, is also represented using open brace and open parenthesis, close parenthesis. So that's the reason if you define an empty set, to define an empty set, you need to write a set. You need to call the set function here. And yeah, you can see here this is an empty set. Okay, so now let me add some values in the set like 1, then again I will add 1, 2, 5, 5, and let's print this. So now it's just showing you the unique values like 1, 2, and 5. 1 is repeated, so it's omitted that, and 5 is also repeated, so it's omitted. So the set will always have a unique values in it. Also you can have different type of values like character. I will repeat the C. Also I'll repeat the string, like, yeah. So in this set there are unique values 1, 2, C, 5, and set. Okay, now you can see there are repeated values the set, but set always omits the duplicate values. And let's try to access some values from the set, like print a of 2. So it shows set object is not subscriptable. You see the error because as per the Python, set is kind of a data structure where which stored unordered collection of the unique elements, and that doesn't support the operation like indexing or slicing, etc. So now let's look at the range. Range is also sequence of elements. Range is a data type in the Python. When you want to define the range of something, then you can type like this. Let's say if I want to define my range is equals to range and the range of 10. So what it's going to do, it's going to print the numbers from 0 to 9. And if I just type the type of this, if I want to print the type of my range, it's going to show you this is a type of range data type. See, the range is a data type in the Python. So how we are going to see those numbers which is there inside the range? We need to use some for loop for that. Okay, for a in my range, then print a. Now you can see this has printed the numbers from 0 to 9. There are total 10 numbers here. Okay, so this range function supports, this range function accepts the 3 different parameters, like a start, which is optional, starting point of the sequence. It by defaults to 0, and the stop, end point of the sequence. This item will not be included in the sequence. Step is also optional. The step size of the sequence, by default it's 1. So like I can define something like this, 10 and then 50. It has printed the values in between 10 to 50. You can see here 10, from 10 till 49 it has printed all the values. This was the start and end. Now I just want to give the gap of 5 and then print the number. Now you can see 10, then there is a gap of 5, 15, there is a gap of 5, 20, 25, 30, 35. Likewise, you can use the range function here. If you want to define an empty range, then simply type a 0 here. This is not going to print anything because it's empty, or if you don't provide any argument to this range function, then it's going to throw the error. Range expects at least one argument. Now let's discuss about the dictionary. So what is a dictionary? Dictionary is nothing but a kind of a key value pair. The word and meaning. This is how you can define a dictionary. So how to define a dictionary? Let's say I'm going to type D is equals to, you need to use the braces and you need to type a value. Let's take an example of integer and its equivalent a word. So 1, 1, and then comma separated key value we can pair. So 1 is a key, 2 is also key, and then provide 2, 3 is the key, then provide the value 3, and then just print this dictionary D. Now you can see here the dictionary is printed, and if you want to print the type, if you want to know the type of this dictionary, type of D, this is nothing but dict. So dict is a data type in the Python which represents the dictionary. Inside the dictionary there are key and value pairs. Let's print the value for the key 1, which is 1, and when I pass a 2, it's going to print 2. So this is how you can access the values of particular key. Also you can print the different type of different keys using the keys function. So how many keys are there? 1, 2 and 3 is a key in the for this dictionary, and you cannot have a repeated key in the dictionary. If you try to have the same thing again, like 1, and the value of this particular key is 1, value can be repeated but the key cannot be repeated, means key should be always unique. So we don't see the error, but what will happen, it's going to store the latest value for that. So if I type here capital 1, so what will happen, this one will be erased and this one key will point to this new value. Let's see. Yeah, so now 1 is pointing to the new value. So this is how you can represent the dictionary in the Python. So dictionary is a data type in the Python which is represented as a dict. If you want to define a byte in the Python, then you can use you just have to write a small b or capital B in front of the string, then this will become a byte. So let me define a variable a is equals to small b, and then I'll type my name Sushil, and then simply print this a and the type of a. Yeah, so you can see the b here, and the type of this a is a bytes. So this is how you can define a bytes, or you can use a capital B. Okay, then Sushil. Still you can see the same print. Still you can see the same output with the type bytes. I can have something like capital small. This is also kind of a byte. Okay, so this is how you can define a bytes in the Python. You can also define a byte array in the Python. Let's say a is equals to byte array is a kind of a function, built-in function, and then I will pass 10. So let's print this. You can see the byte sequence is printed here, and the type of this is byte array. The type of a is byte array. Now let's see how to define a none type in the Python. Just define a variable a is equals to none. This none is equivalent to null in other programming languages. When object is not referring to any value, then the by default value for that object is none. Or let's say if the object is empty, then value for that object is none. Let's print the value for a, and the type of a should be none type. Now you can see here the type of a is none type and the value of a is none. That's it about this tutorial. Thank you so much for watching my video. So if you already subscribed to my channel, then click the bell icon and get the instant notification for my all upcoming automation testing videos. So if you enjoyed watching this video and found this tutorial helpful, then please like it and share it with your friends. See you in the next video guys. Till then, bye bye.